So we started our live stream here. Just kind of FYI. Got your message, Jeff. Okay, yeah, take it away.
Great. So, let's just do a quick intro of our app for those who don't know. Flash Flood is a metro area photo sharing app. So it's a photo sharing app for sharing photos to anyone within a 20-mile radius. Posts are visible for 24 hours. Anyone in your city can upload or download photos, and you can, after 5 downloads, the post disappears. Users can also flag your posts inappropriate, and they can respond to your posts too with comments. Photos can't be uploaded from the media library; they must be taken directly from the app in real life.
So what was the rationale there?
The rationale is to avoid spam and other things like that.
Got it.
So it's more of like a live app. So it shows real events, what's happening in real time.
Cool.
And so here are some learnings that we had during our design phase. You can see several photos of how our user testing went. We learned that early user testing is very good. We came up with several things that we changed. And rough sketches, just testing on those is even a time. So I wouldn't think that it would be usable in a state like that, but we're actually able to understand what was going on. So here are some examples of our high-level designs. These are created in a program called Sketch. And we found out that using real design software is way better than using something like Microsoft Paint for creating these. It saves a ton of time. All right, let's do learnings from back-end development. So the first we learned was that API using Node and Express is definitely the right move. It was very simple, easy to get started with. I never used Node or Express before, but I picked it up really quickly. Also, AWS with Elastic-based Beanstalk made deployment extremely simple. All I have to do is type in a single command and it will deploy the app. It's also very scalable, meaning that if we get a lot of usage, we can instantly scale up the number of instances, so it's running multiple servers at once. And we learned that Amazon's DynamoDB was the wrong choice. It didn't work very well with geospatial indexing, with querying within Node. So we had to migrate some of the tables to MongoDB, which created a lot of wasted effort developing APIs that interact with DynamoDB. So let's go ahead and do the front end.
So the front end, that means Swift. So some lessons learned. So first off, third-party libraries can be very useful. Sometimes people use too many third-party libraries. It can be loaded. And the ones that we use, Swift-JSON, which is parsing JSON that we get from the API, and how we apply to make the API calls was very helpful, especially in situations. I had never done anything with the API, and so being able to use these libraries that were really easy cut down to time with the API. Something that we could have done better was coordination between the back end and the front end database work. So with the API, as it was built, there was no documentation, and so sometimes I had to be like, man, it seems you look at that and I how does this API work again? And we have to like go into that, see together, text in, and we text me, and sometimes it took some time to figure out, okay, I was sending the current correctly. I wasn't exactly sure how this API worked, so really better coordination as far as that goes. We would have helped me well. And then using team effectively to problem solve. So that would be like, if we had both, working on both front end and back end, I think it would help solve a lot of problems that we ran into. Just being able to have another person that work through code, work on with you, would have been really helpful to fix little bugs that took a lot of time. Just going out of errors from making accurate estimates and understanding that when you're building something new and you haven't learned before, it's going to take a lot of time. And it's hard to know how much time it's going to take, but being able to realize that it'll take more time is really impressive.
Are we ready for the demo?
Yeah!
Yes. So this is Flash. A lot of pictures in So right now we're on the most recent tab at the bottom. This is up at the top right corner, 0 hours, and
popular, sorts it by the vote count. So this one, 7. Line with the bottom, that's 87.
So one thing I noticed here is that the hours more than 24 hours. I know we said 24 hours initially. The thing is, if there's less than 50 posts, we'll go ahead and grab the rest of the time until we get up to 50. That way, if there's not very much usage in the area, you'll still be able to have interesting things like that.
Good call.
So then, on a post, and it pulls it up. You can view it. You can upvote, downvote, and you can comment. And so
Insightful.
So as far as the username, it's all, as you said, it's going to be all anonymous. So we're entering the backend that is,
That's username must be the original post. So if you comment again on a single post, you'll receive the same username. And then if you go to a different post and comment, you will receive a new username.
Okay.
Since it's all
If you go back to that original post where you had posted, does that your username
back to your
process?
username.
Good.
So each post has their own username for a user.
if you comment multiple times,
And help me understand why not extend that username to other posts?
Just we base a lot of our ideas off. There's a software called Gigya, but it's mostly text, not photos. That's the difference. The way they do it, which I actually really like, is they have a little icon that it's unique for each person, but it generates only for that post. And the reason about that is that way people can feel like they can comment on a post without being ridiculed for who they are or whatever. You can feel more. You can comment for what you really feel without being worried about being judged. I feel like it's just better that way, but we can see how it works. That's why we're on the flag system, especially because with that there's a potential for abuse. So we're gonna make sure that it doesn't get abused.
show that right word is a flag, and you
What happens to that data? Like after so many people flag it as inappropriate, it goes away, or there's a admin that kind of sorts through?
It's automatic. So if it gets 3 flags, or 2 or 3 flags of each type, so it's offensive or spam, then it gets 3 on any of those 2 categories that I distributed. Same thing for downloads. If it gets 5 downloads, it'll be
Unless there's not enough posts.
no, even if it's downloaded, then it's gone.
I thought I had seen a -7 down there at the bottom.
Possible. Maybe that was another cool. I know I haven't gone back and retroactively deleted posts.
Oh, okay. So you actually delete them.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. Rather than just not show them.
Yeah.
So then you can take a photo.
Yeah.
I like it. Then we take that, save it, and then there it is. Then it is. And so that here's the top for the most recent tab, and obviously popular where
Well, let's go upvote it. Upvote. You can upvote your own stuff?
You only upload once though.
Yeah.
And you download it, you're going to get one, right?
Yeah, so we uploaded, and so
Once you upload it, you have to keep voting.
Yeah.
so yeah, we're good on the So we uploaded,
And those are persistent across all posts as far as your upvotes versus someone else's upvotes? Do you track that, or is it just kind of an aggregate contribution?
Tracks how it tracks
Your individual list?
each vote is still
Okay, for each user.
what that way it can vote multiple times. Throwing it back in.
so yeah, it's uploaded.
One. Two. That's something
Now,
else.
there it is. We're still
Understand.
bugs that
Understand.
we're oh my goodness. And so, yeah, things that we are still working through is user activity. That is our next portion. And that is just going to show all the activity for users. So it will show all your posts and comments that you've made on any your posts or anyone else's posts, and it applies to any posts. So,
Cool. So tell me what your plans are with this app. Are you, I mean, is this more of a project, or is this,
You
do
have
you
to
think
write
you'll
it.
do something with it? Okay. I mean,
yeah, no, we definitely want to. As we to release it to the app store, we wanted to have things that we get to do
Yeah.
functionality, make sure there's no bugs, and but we intend to release it to the app store once it's ready, and then continue based on feedback.
so you've done like 6 iterations this semester on it. How many more iterations before you think it's at a place where you could actually submit it to the App Store?
You don't submit it pretty soon, before next week.
Oh, okay, before the end.
We're going to make
Hopefully,
one
we're in for that.
Now recognize as you make that decision that those first days are absolutely critical, and the feedback you get. And so if there's functionality that's not quite there, you just get crucified for, missing that. So.
I think we need to set it recently.
Mhm.
So hopefully we'll be able to get that feedback and keep working on it. We hope to do like an offline campaign.
Mhm.
So maybe something around the way you campus, like
Yeah.
make an event that people have to come download the app for. That's how Snapchat actually did it. Because
Mhm.
they have campus events all over the United States. And to go to one of their parties, you have to download the Snapchat app before you can come to the party.
Nice.
And then what they uninstall it afterwards, so it's
Yeah.
So we hope to do some offline things around the UIU and hopefully a lot of respect.
So tell me a little bit about kind of how you're going to monetize it, and then also your costs. I had a friend who created a video sharing app, and it was just ended up being prohibitively expensive. It totally was awesome, all these filters you could, apply, similar to what Snapchat did, somewhat recently. But in the end, hosting on Amazon killed them. So tell me kind of what your plans are for monetization, and then what your costs are for the average, consumption that you expect.
Okay. So we did a very detailed cost analysis in the initial report. I'm not exactly sure of the numbers right now, but I can tell you that based on what we saw for pricing on Amazon, their prices have gone down drastically. and they keep going there drastically each year, exponentially actually.
Mhm.
We found that we could serve what was it, like 1 million users, I think, for under 1,000 users. It's getting really cheap. The way we post these in the back end is we compress them really greatly. So we're not picking up a lot of storage. The photos are still on S3.
So you compress the photos before you send them to S3, or wow.
So I think we compress them in the back end.
Okay.
And that helps with safety.
What compression? I mean, the flip side is the processing power required to do the compression.
We're using a software
Okay.
it's it doesn't. I noticed it doesn't take enough processing power. It does it in just 1 second.
Okay.
So,
So 1 million users for $10,000. How many average pictures is that?
should I flip the report?
Yeah, sure. That'll be fun. I really think that that's going to be a critical point in whether or not this goes based on how much it costs you, and obviously that really depends on the average number of pictures per user. The total number of pictures.
And you don't hold on to those pictures for forever.
That's the other thing.
Okay.
Which
Yeah. Sure.
cuts drastically.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
We're not going to hold on to at least post in high usage areas. We can just delete or at least remove the image within several days. So that's our usage itself won't be, or storage itself won't be that.
Yeah, that's good.
Let's see.
Yeah, I think kind of the next steps in my mind after getting the MVP, and I think there's still, probably based on what I see, probably another 50% of the work you've done to get to that point would be really moving to the business case and really taking a critical look at, okay, what's the feasibility, and certainly if you get to a certain point, then you'll find some investors that are willing to front the cost for you. But the deleting the photos, that makes tremendous difference.
I mean, S3 is incredibly cheap.
Yeah.
Even the transport. I would suggest getting it. Maybe it's not pushed on the App Store. Get it on people's phone ASAP and see what feedback they can give you. I find that you really don't know what you need to do until you get to that point. And so it looks like you have something you can probably share with some people right now. And just say, hey, here's our group of 12 people. Let's go have some fun with this.
Yeah, we could definitely push it out. That's right.
Yeah.
And send that way.
It'd be super cool.
You'll get tons of feedback.
I'll use it for you.
Yeah, same here. I'll do it.
Okay,
As far
as monetization goes, we don't have any specific plans for monetization simply because we've seen how other viral campaigns have done it using just virtual venture capital. They don't actually plan to monetize their app until it becomes a.
There always has to be like an eye toward monetization, though most of them say, well, if we get a big enough user base, we'll turn to advertising, or we'll do, we'll be able to target them in some form or fashion. Right. So venture capitalists won't just go on just the user.
They want to see. They want to see that.
Yeah, just kind of in the future, even though you're not going to do it right now, you're going to lose tons of money right now.
Yeah, we may even have some sort of
I think targeted advertisement, localized targeted advertisement based on posts.
Be willing to pay to have some additional privacy features, maybe even there's my group of people I like. And I think that how can people game my system? First, they could start posting a bunch of inappropriate pictures.
Yeah.
And even if they get flagged after 3, I'd stop using it. Second, if let's say there's haters everywhere, you're running into haters everywhere, right? I post a picture of conference, 3 the haters go on and say flag, and now that picture of conference is gone. So there's some upsells there. I would be hesitant jumping straight to a VC. There are a lot of angels around that have a lot of money and are wanting to help out young startups, especially kids in people in their 20s and 30s. So something to think about. I can point in some directions if you ever have questions about it. But definitely
agree on the localized advertising because you create a post that looks very similar to ours. That's targeted the same area, the same the rest of the person. So like you could see something like one of the local restaurants or something like, hey, come check out our new burger or a sell on this new item.
Yeah, click-through probably going to be higher because it's right in the end.
But people occasionally purchase ups, pluses.
To get more visibility.
To get more visibility.
I'll pay $1 to get 10 extra.
That way I take my picture of my restaurant and it's going to appear up top. There you go. There's lots of ideas. I don't know if that's appropriate.
Well, if you put sponsored on the
Sponsored. Yeah, maybe put sponsored on bottom. Interesting.
What questions do the rest of you have?
How do you actually deal with the you do what you're looking for after you express the user to tell you, or you just the location? Yeah, you should be request the location. And so they don't show any questions. There's some complications with location. So the GPS. Yeah.
we require yes. There are plans for anti version and stuff. I think that would be based on how well we are for this.
Others? All right, good job, gentlemen. I really think that the app has a ton of potential. You get a few of those rough edges done, get it out in front of real users, realize that you thought it was awesome and everyone else is telling you to do these other things over here and pivot. But I'm super excited about this one.
That's same here. Very excited.
And
I
Go ahead.
Do you have a way to search for content? Like, say I wanted to find packages. Do you have hashtags or things like that? Or I could go find packages?
That is great feedback. No, we don't.
We don't have that right now. Right now, you can only see by
So,
popular
you just
or
choose based on
what's the web.
But yeah, definitely that's a great idea. Wow, think about how to implement it probably wouldn't work on a local level. You probably need to see posts over a national level if you're going to search for something like that. Because if you keep specific, because there might not be any posts in a local area, something specific you're looking for. But yeah, if you need to search for something on a national level, great.
based on traffic, can you adjust the geo boundaries?
That's what we were looking into, yes.
That'd be
It's
really
like
cool.
if you're in an area that's not very populated, there's not going to be any posts.
Yeah.
Right, so-
There's definitely some complications with that because you could be just outside it in a rural area of the main city. So you can see the city's posts, but they can't see your posts because they have the small
interesting.
radius and you have the bigger radius.
Yeah.
So that's kind of complicated because then yours won't get uploaded and you're left out. So we have to figure out exactly how
It's
it's
that sweet spot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think that's worth, thinking about that. And I think that the inclusion for, content for the small guy will probably outweigh the, hey, no one's seeing or liking my stuff. I don't know. I guess it depends if you like to be a consumer or a producer.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Brittany, go ahead. You can get set up. So,
Same.
and then have building probably Indian. So all kind of refugee stories and what you're going into and exact kind of at the end of the day it's on them. So
Right. Do you want to get started 2 minutes early?
Sure.
Okay, take it away.
Okay, so for my Capstone project, I created a wiki for Anglican. And because of my presentation, I have at least one cat picture in here.
My question is, are there going to be more cats than when you did that ITIL presentation?
No, this is the only cat.
I have never seen so many cats before.
Well, because it was called the Etiquette. It was illustrated by cats, so I had that cats. Okay, so there were several reasons for me to create a wiki for English. The first one is that there are knowledge sharing issues. So at English, it's critical that we share information with each other effectively because it helps with training, it makes processes and deliverables consistent. And we just didn't have that for a really long time. People would store things locally on the computer and not share them, or they'd write it in notebooks, and so, or it could just be in their head. So we had a hard time sharing content and sharing this knowledge that people had generated. When knowledge was shared, it was stored in lots of different locations, and it was really inconsistent. We had things like Dropbox, we had things like SharePoint on the FTP, we had things like emails, some were in Word documents, some were in PDFs, or like text and email. So it wasn't easy to gather all of this information in one location and have it in a consistent format. We also had a wiki before the one I created, and it was not very functional for users. There were several issues with it. The first one was that the template and the whole wiki was out of date, and so it was several versions behind, and it needed to be updated, which seemed to cause a few bugs. Users had a really hard time accessing it. Like, we couldn't create our own accounts. We had to go to Capstone, so we couldn't choose a username, and we couldn't reset passwords. So, and there were several team members of mine couldn't access their wiki account because they couldn't remember the password, and there's no way for them to reset it. So that caused problems. It was also very difficult for users because of the functionality. So when users went to upload content to the old wiki, they didn't have a easy way to edit it. So they had to be familiar with the wiki markup language, and you couldn't copy something from Word directly into the wiki. All your formatting would be lost, so your builds would be lost. So you had to go and manually add all of that formatting back in, which made users not want to upload content to the old wiki. And so the other issue with some of the other storage pieces for the systems we use besides the wiki, like Dropbox, these systems were inaccessible on VPNs that were Steam's wikis. So this was a huge problem since we have a global team, because people would have to be hopping on and off the VPN constantly to either share something or upload something, and this just caused some problems.
So is that just based on where the server was being hosted, or the routing of the network traffic? Or?
I am not sure why the old VPN didn't work on the network. Dropbox is, if you have Dropbox on your computer locally, and the files are stored there, it won't sync across EMC's VPN for some reason. And EMC blocks traffic to like Dropbox.com, so if you try to access it on the web, it's blocked. Rules are like that, but that's how it is. And so I know the system design is supposed to know how you set up the site to work, but because I use a template, I use TikiWiki, I didn't have that as much. For me, most of it was fixing bugs and other issues. So I wanted to go over the structure of the something that was really functional was important for the success of the wiki. And so I went into this thinking that I would have a section for each team. The EMC team, IBM team, Microsoft team, and development team have. But I learned that each team has vastly different needs. So I just wanted to go over some of those. So the EMC team was pretty simple. And because I'm on the EMC team, I knew the structure, and so I had an idea for it. And so you see a screenshot on the side there, and we have sections like deliverables, systems, products, which these are EMC's products, and then we have a section for other documentation that doesn't fit in all of these categories. And I came up with this structure myself, showed several of our team members to get any feedback necessary or make adjustments. And I didn't really get feedback aside from that's a good system or structure, use it going forward. So that was great. The Microsoft structure, I was actually able to pull from the old wiki because the Microsoft team was the only team that really used it. And so I just have a couple of screenshots. You can see it's a bit complex. Like at the start, you have things like the first page has licensing processes, resource section, and a cost rating for the teams. But as you go into them, you can see over on the second screenshot that there are a lot of different subsections and content. So it's quite a bit more complex than the systems. But I was able to use what was already in place and leverage that and move it over. So I didn't have to worry too much about getting structure right because they had already set it up previously. The IBM team was really complex. They actually sent me, I worked with them and discussed this with them several times to make sure I had something that would work for them. And this was a series. Well, this was all one email. And I had to use the syncing tool several times to get shots of it. So you can see that theirs is significantly more complex with how it's arrayed. Each tab in is like a subpage. So you can see that under content, you have a 1 and a 2. You have tooling and license management. Within that, it just keeps getting more and more complex, which you don't really see across the other teams. The development team was actually really interesting to work with because we weren't sure how they wanted to use the wiki. So they gave me a structure to put in place, and it was pretty simple. We had some general categories and then subcategories under each. It was a bit more like an EMC team. However, once they started using it, they realized they wanted to change the direction it was going, and so users were able to build off of this and take it in a different direction to meet the development team. And so just to go over some lessons learned, I learned that clear communication is critical. One example of this was when I was working with the IBM team, I had a conversation with one of the members who was helping with the structure, and I had said, okay, I think I have an idea. I'm going to send you an email so we can further refine what we discussed. He was like, yeah, I'll do that. And then a few days went by and I didn't see an email, so I sent him an email that said something like, he will come up with the structure and the subject, and then I said, hey, I just want to follow up with that conversation. Can you please send me that structure of for the ideas? And I was like, thanks. And what I got back was nothing related to the wiki. It was a organizational structure for the IBM team. I was really confused myself. I was like, what is this? And so I realized that I needed to go back and clearly say what I wanted it for and what I was looking for and what I needed. So it was really interesting how specific and clear I needed to be. The other thing that was really important for the success of the wiki I found was having a wiki champion across teams. Part of my project involved me marketing the wiki to different teams to try to use it often because it's not useful if people don't use it and don't know about it and don't know. For most of the teams, I was able to sit down with the whole team however, with the development team, I was only able to meet with one person. And so it was really critical for me to choose someone who I knew would support me and who would champion with me. And I involved the development team from the start, so I knew I needed to meet either Ranger or Morgan listening well. And I was able to meet with Morgan to present it. I hadn't had the opportunity to present it to anyone else on the development team. But because Morgan was a rookie team, he was able to tell the rest of the team about it. I've gotten a lot of users from the development team. And he likes to tell me that it's useful because it's growing organically, but I feel like a lot of the credit should go to Morgan, who really championed the wiki and for helping it grow. So that was something that I learned that was really important. Something else that's really important that I learned is to show the value of it. As I mentioned, there was a previous wiki in place, and when I first had the suggestion of looking at people and the person who had created the wiki was not thrilled. He didn't see a need for a new wiki, and so he thought it was a waste of time, a waste of resources, and I understand that he might not be happy about the wiki that he created going away in the wikis. So I really had to show him the value to get him on board with it and show him how we're adding more features and how it would be more useful. And then the other thing was I had to show value across the teams. So I had to show each team why it would help them in their processes and why it would be useful for them. And I've been able to see the results of this most on the AMC team timeline. And it's just really, really rewarding to be on a call or something and have someone say, oh, that information on the wiki, just like there. And have people see the value that I really show them and tell others about the value so that it gets used. The final thing I learned is a bit funny, and it's Google doesn't always have the answer. What I spent a significant amount of time on was fixing bugs within Wiki. Some of you know that my WYSIWYG editor didn't work well. And I probably spent 15 to 20 hours easily trying to get it to work. I did every possible thing. I had some help from the dev team and stuff. No one could figure it out. And Google had nothing. So for me, what I did to fix it was I tweaked the settings. I eventually went to a different WYSIWYG editor, and it was just testing things and figuring out things on my own without Google because without any info. So now I want to give a site demo, and hopefully my internet's working. If not, I have screenshots. So I just sort of want to walk through the site a little bit. I have some security controls in place, so only registered users can go. I just went to wiki.emailcamp.com, and this is what you'll see if you go there and aren't signed in. I have forgot passwords, which is really useful because now someone forgets they're not just locked out of their account. I also, when I register, or when the user registers, you have to have your email, and then you need a passcode. And this passcode basically keeps anyone who shouldn't have access to the system getting access to the system.
Do you find the passcode on the wiki?
No. There is actually a feature that you can display it on the page, so if you're trying to stop robots from using it, we have that feature on and stop robots who are having access. And then you need a password, and it's pretty secure, like numbers, letters, capital, letters, and special characters. People complain to me about the password requirements, but they align with what Milton has said before, so I worked them. And then I also have captured here below. I'm using Maxim proteins is because apparently the wiki email is still going through my email. It's going to be switched over to a dev email eventually, but I don't have access to that email. So I'm going to go over right now. So the captcha helps my account when you're in loss, which is great. I am signed in here, and so you can see here that this is the home page, and I don't want to go too far into the tabs because we do have sensitive information, so I'm mostly going to be playing around on this page. Here you can sort of see the WYSIWYG editor. It's very simple to use. Here in format, you can have headings and things like this. And things like that. Everything you do is really easy to figure out. You can paste directly into it with keywords. Images are a little buggy, but they work. Pasting directly. And then the other thing that's nice is it's very easy to add in. So I'm just going to, I could break in here, but I'm going to edit it. Right now it's going to a URL because this was converted from the old wiki. But if I wanted to make this wiki page, I could just start typing like Microsoft, and you can see that it pops up, and I can select that this is Microsoft, and I can save it. So it's really easy to add links, which has been nice for users. And then I can add tables like this. I can also edit things here. So I can see the HTML, which is a feature available for admins, but not in your own products. You can find your fix, because it would be useful for most users to be able to edit HTML. A little bit, but thank you for appreciate that research and working on a workaround. And then I can add images as well. Really easily, just I could do a cat if I see a cat. We'll just do it with my logo instead of cats. So it actually uploads this to a file gallery, so it's not stored in the database, which helps keep the size from being restricted. So it shows up here, and then to edit it again, you can just double click here and change it. So say I wanted to it to be, then it will be smaller. I can also do a preview so I can see what it will look like, which is helpful for editing in HTML. That way you don't have to go back and forth. And I'm going to save this to show you one of the cool version control features that are in place. Oh, you can upload files too, which is similar to upload an image, but they're stored down here. If you go to this history tab, you can see that I have all of these different versions, and it shows you the current one and the other. If you want to compare these, you can see in green what's been added. Like this link has been changed, and this link is new. I have a new image, and then if I want to roll back, I can just click on this. I can see the old version. I can say, yes, I want to roll back. I can confirm my action. And here's what's really nice about it. If I go, I can see that I rolled back to version 17, but creates a new version. So version 18 is still here if I decide, oh, I'm going to say I want to actually go back to the last one. So it keeps everything, which is really nice. And then the settings, I don't want to go over too much. But they're very easy to use and configure, so if I'm passing this off to people, they're all in here, which is really nice. And normal users can't see this. I'm typing as an admin. So it's really easy to find features and settings and change them. And then finally, I'm trying to go over search. So it's like typing. So what's really nice is this does sort of two searches. As you're typing, it will give you those pages. But if you just want to search and really confused, but if you hit enter or if you hit search text, then it will give you a page of search results, and it will give you a relevant not for calculates and numbers. Just like that. One other thing that was really interesting. Okay. So you can sort of see that this is where it finds the node. And yesterday, I seriously searched node, and these were completely different numbers. Now they're all relevant to one. So I'm not sure how it's calculating it, the relevance. The one unfortunate thing is if there's anything that sentence that says node, it gives you the first line of the page. questions or want to see something, I can show you.
Are you familiar with SOC at all? SOC. So it's something that auditors have to do for a company. That require so many logs on systems. Do you keep track of? And one of those requirements, there's a bunch, is that you keep a log of when people log in and who logs in.
Yes.
Do you have that?
Which just reminded me of what I was thinking. So, or what I wanted to say. So I have there's this groups here, and I can see the users are most of them are registered. I think that's the numbers. I haven't done too much with the permissions, but I can see like when they last signed. I can see when they created an account, but I know somewhere in here there are several different interfaces. You can see when they last signed in, and you can calculate changes. I was playing with all the settings, and so like I've seen these. It's going to point out where they are, but just really quick, go back. You can see that there are these different groups. I can actually add more groups and move the permissions. And so one thing we're going to do going forward is we're going to create a single sign-on between the wiki and the other in-wiki systems. And this is a bit outside of the scope of my project because that's really difficult to do. And we're going to be able to use this. We're going to create another group for users outside of in-wiki so that they can access the documentation for the products that we create, like one of them is Elevate. So we're going to have in-user Elevate documentation on the that users will be restricted to only see that based on their permissions, and that they'll be able to access that. So that's a future plan. Any other questions? Yeah.
Are you through your presentation?
Yes.
Okay. So tell me about the install process. What operating system you're on, why you're on that, how difficult it was to install, how you did that, and then I have a couple other questions.
Okay, so I am on a Windows 8 VM on a Windows 7 computer.
Whoa,
And,
it's getting good.
Yeah. It is running on Xamarin Apache, and that was like really easy. Like just download, start up, click through the install process.
Yep.
And then typically just download, extract the files, put it like we had a walkthrough to install it. You just have to put it in an HTML file in XAMPP.
Yep.
And then just walk through the installation. So the installation was really easy.
Using MySQL or?
It's not,
Or are these individual? Oh, these are individual files, I think.
yeah, the individual, the database comes set up. So I didn't have to do the database. And so I had to restart to have that issue if it was new. So it went through the installation process and I didn't do it again. I clicked through the issue. Saw that the issue was there from the start. So like installing it was pretty easy. And like setting it up, but like each implementation takes a lot more time because if you saw the control panel page, there's like seriously page at a time. And so like going through all of them is secure, changing them and getting started.
Tell me about your maintenance plan and how easy it will be to move to the next version of
Actually,
TikiWiki.
that is a great thing because I accidentally started this inside the wrong version. They have long-term support versions and the current version. I installed a long-term support version that was too painful. And what happened was like to upgrade, I just had to say, and it's on the it checks for upgrades and notifies you. Like they release a version every 6 months, and like it checks every week to tell you if they released it and gives you notifications. So it's easy to keep up to date. And having actually gone through an upgrade process, I like just download the files, put them under HT docs, and then like run the like installation upgrade, which is seriously just like different pages. It takes your database, converts it to the upgraded one, and you go. I had no issues when I upgraded my system, so it's really easy to upgrade, which is good.
That's good. So tell me about your backup strategy.
So you can, because this is using PHP My Admin, I can go in and download packages. And I've done that like several times. And I think that going forward, it would probably be good to do it once every week or two, so that you have a copy just there on the server or stored on Dropbox or somewhere. That way, if you need to take a new version, you can seriously just upload the tables and everything, including the settings.
Yeah, I would encourage you to take a few minutes and really consider how's this going to work, and then actually try it.
Oh, I've done it. So when I was trying to, when I had my busy vacation, I wasn't sure if it was a setting in Xampp or if it was a setting in TPU. So when I set up on the separate machine, I downloaded my database and uploaded it on the new version, and everything was the exact same. So it works well.
And there may be some, I had that same question about backup. There may be some opportunity to automate that backup and maybe keep a running backup. So here's a month's worth of backup, and then after that you start deleting, but you keep one for the month after that for the year. This is very valuable, I imagine, too. They put in their information and they're using it a lot. We want to make sure you don't lose that.
That's right. And I would suggest even a week time thing is probably too long. You know, having lost data before, every day counts.
Yeah, that is a very good point. We could probably automate this using script. So I'll work with the dev team to do something every day or every other day.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be a full, it can be an incremental periodically, but something where you don't have to recreate those changes. Tell me on kind of the balance between the technical aspects of your project versus the human aspects or the change management portions. Which did you find more painful?
Technology, hands down.
Okay, interesting. I would have guessed it was the organizational change.
So I had, like, when I was doing my proposal for this, I had a lot of issues with that. I had involved, like, too many people wanted to be involved, and they all had different things they wanted. So when I actually started the process, like, this semester during the capstone, I, like, put it down to, like, 2 or 3 people who were mentors or stakeholders. And I involved them, and it, like, no one else, well, had a major say in the direction.
Yeah.
I obviously involved companies were with me, but people were willing to help and willing to adopt this because they thought it was useful. But fixing some of those bugs that Google didn't have input on, that was painful. That was very painful.
So 2 last questions. One, did you share back on how you fixed the problem out on Google so it now exists?
I was told to do that, and I'm planning on it. But I don't actually have a solution. My solution is don't use this as your editor.
Well, but that might be helpful for someone else.
Maybe I will put that up.
Okay, my last question is, how has doing this project helped you in your future career?
Oh, that's a good question. So I would say there's sort of 2 things that really helped me. One, it sort of helped me diversify my skills personally, but it also showed the company that I can do more than just hearing concepts and things like that. I can do this, and I can step up to the challenge and do something that I want and figure it out on my own. The other thing was, it's helpful because I was able to add value to the company that they can directly see and that they are using. And like I said, we have plans for us going forward with Elevate and other software. So like having it integrated as a core component of what we use just really helps me convey my value. So.
All right, any last questions? All right, very good. Thanks, Brittany. It looks like we have Marco Polo up next, Bryson and Stewart. Good morning.
Hold on a second.
All right.
A little bit on my computer, a bit of a 2 minutes.
Hey, how are you? How long are you here for?
Just this one. I fly out this afternoon. I'll be here for one more this
Where are you
afternoon.
heading? Oh, nice.
Yeah, we'll get that spring break while we.
Did you know Bonnie's there right now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're not bothered.
Yeah, that's right. All right, it's time to get a crowd. It's a little later in the morning. Nice.
No. Sweet logo. Definitely getting logo. Oh, Antonio Star 83. What was that? Awesome. We got a bit back on it too. So just to clarify expectations, are we supposed to be in seats?
Yes, take it away whenever you want. You'll have 20 minutes to present, 5 minutes for questions, and then kind of a 5-minute transition to the next presentation.
Great. All right. Well, thank you for coming. We're really excited to show you what we've been working on. My name is Bryson Hoffman. For those of you who don't know, and this is Stuart David. We're both students in the MISM. Focused on security. So first off, we'd just like to describe our problem that we're trying to solve here. Now, what is the greatest security vulnerability in every single organization? People, it's me. It's Ron Swanson. It's Michael Scott. It's your employees who we spend all this time training to be helpful and accommodating and trusting, and then they go in and they click those links in those nasty phishing. And the bad guys know this. Security researchers and industry researchers, Verizon, IBM, Trend Micro, have all showed that over 90% of attacks begin on people. And most of this is starting with phishing. For those of you who aren't familiar with phishing emails, those are your Nigerian prince emails, the emails that come in and try and get you to click on that link that they pretend to be your bank. It's just some way of trying to trick you through it. And this is a big problem. I mean, we spend, as security professionals, we spend hours and hours and hours and hours hardening our defenses, hardening our network security, updating software. We have this big Trojan horse problem where we're building this wall around Troy of all these security, systems to detect intrusions, and then we let everybody right through the front door in their Trojan horse as they click on the phishing. So we have a big issue, and this isn't a small problem.
Yeah, in fact, it's not limited just to small companies that don't have the time or money to invest in security protocols. It's actually all these companies on that you see here had a group started from phishing attack. You got Target there, Seagate, that one was just this year, where they lost all the W2 data, so tax fraud. Huge deal. Big companies here that are these costs really for it. So how do companies respond to this fundamental threat prediction? Well, we train them, they fall asleep, and then they click the links anyway. Or they don't really pay attention in the first place. So traditional methods of training really haven't been good. And so that's where Marco Polo comes in. So Marco Polo is a web app. It's going to send these phishing emails in a controlled environment where they don't actually cause any harm. And then it's going to gather and present the data based on how the workforce responds. So whether they click the email or not, we're going to know if that's the kind of employee that's going to meet that training or are they not only is this going to reveal the weak points or manage, where are we lacking, where are we training, are we vulnerable. It's also going to provide an interactive experience for the employees as they click those links and do that training where they actually click and secure it and see how they're
So before we go ahead and show you the demo, we just want to give you a brief overview of how the system works. So, first, the security administrator is going to log into the system and import the workforce directory. So you have employee records for each of your employees in the workforce.
Next, the security administrator is going to set up phishing scans, which these groups of these emails to send out to specific groups of employees. And they're going to do this based on predefined templates. So whether it be Facebook template, based on traditional phishing emails that are targeted towards certain people based on their demographics and things like that.
So each of those emails contains a link. Now, if one of the employees clicks that link, it's going to update the Marco Polo system and let us know that, hey, this employee clicked that link. It begins to build a profile for each employee of risk. So which employees have higher risk. And then with that data, we're able to build some dashboards and some visualizations that help us identify who needs more training and with some actionable information. So
here's a slide that kind of outlines some of the technology. That Bootstrap is customized style. Using Django with Python as the backend framework, which is great. And then using Postgres for the database, BigQuery for a lot of front-end interactions. And then we're using the HTML server in order to send those actual emails out. That one. And then Apache is the web server that we're using.
So without further ado, let's go fishing. I'd like to show you the app and how it works. So let me make sure you're seeing what I'm seeing here. Okay, good. So when an administrator logs in here to the system, they'll see this dashboard, which we'll come back to in a second. But first things first, we want to go in and we want to create an employee. So we want to just follow through the workflow of exactly what a person would do first logging into the system. So we have a whole bunch of employees already imported into the directory, but let's go in and let's add a new employee. So let's see, we're going to add. So just add the first name, last name. Can I put your email in here?
TinaServi@gmail.com.
Password 1. Okay, and then let's just say you're in the IS department, and we can save that employee, and you can see that now he's been added to the system, right? So the scanning system works by groups. So there are groups of employees. So we want to that are scanned. So we want to make sure and add Dr. Survey to the group here. So let's jump in here, and let's see. None of these really work for him, do they? Let's just add them to the all group, right? That's a specific group, or the management security. You can do both security stuff, right?
Yeah, you guys do. Stolen a lot of passwords.
So we'll add him into that security group. Now, let's say you don't want to go through and add every single individual employee. We've got a nice upload feature here where you can just upload a CSV that's full of your directory, and that'll bring your whole directory into one place. And I'll show you that here. Now, I've already run this, and it checks and makes sure, okay, does that employee already exist? Let's not create duplicates here. So that's nice because you can just keep adding to the CSV if that's, or export from your LDAP directory. And if you ever forget who's in which group, you can jump in here to the groups page and see all the people who've already been added. So you've got Harry Potter's in ours, so you've got security, and you've got Bruce Wayne, so Batman's on the security. Anyway, so yeah, so that's the directory page, and once you've imported and created your employees, now we want to go ahead and start making the actual emails.
As the templates are those actual phishing emails based on specific types of phishing emails that you see, maybe you want to get a custom one that's really targeted for organization. And that's very realistic to think that you could target it based on what's going on in the organization, because attackers know that kind of information. That's exactly what they do. So this provides flexibility to really develop it into everything. As you can see, there's a few different kinds here already. There's the Facebook one, the Wells Fargo one. Let's go into one of the edit panes of these. You can see you got a really nice edit window here. Up at the top, you're going to have the name of the actual template that you're using, and then a difficulty. Difficulty represents the difficulty of the action for that particular template. A low difficulty means it's easy to detect, but that's efficient versus a high. So, for example, one that has low difficulty might have like lots of typos.
That's what I was about to ask you. Okay, there will be typos and other red flags.
Those. Yeah, so we're hoping that a low difficulty, every employee should really understand that's actually efficient and like that. So this is going to be reflected in risk value if it's assigned to each employee quickly. So if they put a low difficulty, the risk value is going to go higher because they should
In addition, sorry, just another thing here. With those difficulties, it'll actually, so a low can be sent at any time of the day. It'll send on the weekends, it'll send at 3 a.m. Whereas, for example, a high will only send during work hours, during weekdays. And so that's just an added.
So you're, I don't know if I'm fully following the difficulty. So as an administrator, you choose that level, and then the system's going to behave a little bit differently. You're not taking and applying automated filters for the things. You're simply categorizing the existing thing.
right, yeah. So
Okay.
you're just saying, hey, based on what I'm going to do here, this is
Perfect.
So then we've got from name. So when they receive the emails, we say it's from Wells Fargo, from email, subject line. But it's really nice visual editor. You can see exactly what it's going to look like when you receive it. You'll notice throughout here there's some of these little tags. These are the dynamic packages over them here. But that's basically represent, okay, we're going to make this dynamic. Whoever goes to send it. So when it gets sent to Bruce, it's going to say Bruce to Bruce, something like that. Or Bruce to Wayne, the last name there. One important thing to note here is that here we have the fish link. That's really important because that's actually so then once we've got our template all ready to go, we're going to start the scan.
So a scan is the basic functionality of Marco Polo. It's when we're actually sending emails. So you can see we created a few other scans in here, but just to help you understand, we're going to create our own scan here. So, so let's go ahead and create the IS department scan. So you can give it a name and then add one of these groups that we've already added. So since we have document server, we have security one, and then you can choose a template. So you can go in and we can say, let's send every single one of these emails in a scan. I want it to be a Facebook, or I want it to be a Wells Fargo email. But if we want to add a little more variety, we can come in and choose a difficulty. So we can come in and we can just choose the moderate difficulty. And that way, we'll randomly pick different emails of the moderate difficulty. So that the scan is a little bit more, you've got more variety in the scans. It's not, if you get that email for you, so then we can come in and pick the start date. So let's say that the scan is going to start tomorrow. And then we choose the max emails per day. Now, a scan only sends one email to every employee. So that's how it works. If there's 5 employees in the group, it's going to send 5 emails, one for each employee. So the max emails per day is how many emails the system is going to send. So if we want a quieter scan, again, so it's not alerting everybody gets the same email at the same time. We can just choose this and just say, let's only send 2 emails today. This will maybe take a little bit longer. Now, there's only a few members of this group, so this will be done by the But what this does is it calculates an estimated completion. So if we want it to be done today, we can just go up and send 10 today. So let's say we do this out today, or tomorrow, I guess, since it's a start date. So now that scan has been created. And you can come in here in the details panel and see all the emails that were created. And as time goes on, you'll be able to see that they were sent, when they were sent, and if they were clicked. So you can see they were sent and clicked on the And then, so once you've finished creating some scans, all that data then
yes, we've got a really nice in-depth really give you a great view of how we're doing implementation. Up at the copies of different filters. So you can filter by either a specific scan or a specific glue. And that's going to affect the score here. It's going to affect all these parts. Like that. First of all, we've got this really nice overall risk rating score here. And that's basically for managers to quickly see how we're doing. And it's calculated according to all the different employees, whether they're clicking links, whether they're not clicking links. That's going to all go into this rating, the level of difficulty for the specific template that they clicked, that great overall view of how the organization is doing. Moving downward, we've got this table here that shows employees by risk value. So very quickly, you're going to be able to see, okay, who are my highest risk employees. So Billy Jeans, he's not my lover, he's a pretty bad guy. He needs some help there. We've also got this chart here that shows quick overview of how the employees are by risk rating. Low risk, high risk, what percentages of that. And then here we've got actual based on scans down here, click rate. So basically, over the past 30 days, out of all the phishing emails we sent, how many have been clicked and how many have not been clicked. Recently, probably. And then finally, we've got here this bar chart because over the past 6 months, it's going to show the different level of difficulties emails that were clicked for each of those months. And that's going to be rolling in. So very actionable to be able to see where do we need to improve, how can we improve. So we're just going to show you really quick how this process works. So let's just do something for everyone here. And we've already set it up so that we sent an email out here to Bruce Wayne, right? So it's nice because we have this search functionality. You can come in and search on any field, Wayne, Bruce, and Batman, and any of those will bring up that employee. So we can come in here and we can see the emails that have already been sent to them. So we've got a couple that are pending and one that's been clicked. Now, pending means that it's been sent, but enough time hasn't passed that we can consider that it's safe to have not clicked it. So right now the system waits 10 days. If they haven't clicked it for 10 days, it assigns them a risk value of 0. Their overall risk. So let's jump into Batman's email here. And so you can see that this is that Facebook email that he already clicked, right? So you can see that it's got that like tool that's talking about that automatically populated field. It's got his email down here. But we already clicked this one, so we're going to jump in here and do the Publisher's Clearinghouse one and click this one. Now, as soon as the employee clicks the link, they're going to be taken to this page that describes, hey, guess what? That is efficient. And calls them out by name and describes that was sent by their organization. And then it gives a brief training about phishing and how to avoid this. And then if you jump back here, yeah.
So just out of curiosity, you said that like it expires or whatever after 10 days. What happens if they click on it after the 10 days?
It takes that year. So if they click on it, if they're gone for a month or whatever, and come back to it, they'll still go back. So now if we update this, we can see that email was clicked and we've added, since that was a low difficulty, just like that, we did 100 to his risk rating. If we refresh the dashboard up here, you can see that that's not. And so, and that's essentially how the system works.
Yeah, so as you can see, this dashboard can be real time. Also, it's going to be putting employees in the mindset of watching out for these kinds of attacks. We won't know whether it's coming from their organization or whether it's coming from the outside. Either way, we'll know. We need to watch out for those kinds of attacks.
So moving forward, we're really excited with where we've gotten. We've got a lot of people. There's still a lot of work to be done. So we have a beta customer engagement with a company called Nuna Healthcare out in San Francisco. So I have a contact with the security administrator, and he's planning on using this and putting it into play in their system. So over the next couple of months, we're going to try and get that deployed in his environment and have that see what feedback we get from him, what we can change, what works, what doesn't, so we can make those modifications. Our deployment method, right now, it's just set up on a server, but we'd like to create an ISO on a Linux-based operating system so we don't have to worry about licensing issues. you just easily deploy a VM or whatever system you use, so that comes with all the configurations necessary. And then we'd like to continue to add functionality. There's a lot of different things that we talked about that we wanted to add, but this one of them, for example, is we'd like to have greater data flexibility. So we'd like to be able to have them jump into that dashboard and not only be able to filter on that data, but export it. So they can go in and export everything out into an Excel file, and they can then create their own custom reports and data or analysis off of that exported data. So,
yeah, so I mean, it's been a great project. We've been really happy. We've learned a lot. We've learned a lot about development and security. We've learned about how easy it is for people to set up these actual kind of attacks. A lot of it. And so, yeah, it's been pretty fun.
Very nice. Are you familiar with Fishme?
yeah.
How do you compare and contrast to Fishme?
So Fishme is a paid service for one thing. We're not exactly sure what our model would be going forward, but it's likely just going to be a free service that could be given to, or just a free
Open source.
open source. Well, I don't know if we really want to open source it yet, but just some sort of system that can be just downloaded with any environment.
And other pieces of Fishme, we're excited about people being able to customize this exactly to what they need. And so, Fishme offers such things as custom templates and those kinds of things, but really being able to go and change how those emails are sent, that kind of thing, I feel like this would be a great opportunity.
Also, this provides that random feature over time in the sense that at certain times it creates a much. Whereas I think with Fishme, it's much more, hey, everybody got the same email at the same time. I've heard that a lot. And whereas this can go out and it creates a more stealthy solution. And again, like Stuart said, it's locally deployed, so it's not safe.
So you have a free card.
The one I would suggest just packaging up something like a VirtualBox image and OVA, and super easy to download. And change these 3 things, and you're off and running for your organization. Super simple. Of course, they'll have all your source code, right? So it's free, but not open source. I'm not sure how you're going to control that.
Yeah, we wanted to. We were going to look at the stuff.
That's the kind of direction we want to go. We've documented really well how these things.
What other questions do folks have?
Some questions? Why do you call them scans? Scans? Because it's a one-off deal. Because it's just one email being sent to everyone. So like scan is a pretty common security community. So it's so
Yeah, it's interesting to scan and see if something's there, and it's kind of with the Marco Polo team, with the Marco, and see if it's kind of
so we talked about the word campaign initially, but it seemed like we'd be sending multiple emails to the same person over and over.
You said what it is.
Yeah.
Dr. Vance, your vision is not good.
So like in this case, you've got one that's actually from the HR department. So in this case, we don't have a particular logo for a company. We could come in and we could add, if we're doing my company, we could come in and we could add Adobe, and then we could add their at adobe.com from adobe.com down here. And we could make this look like it's actually from an Adobe email, and just modify the headers to make it exactly like that. So this is one that's specifically targeted to them, and it's saying that they have important requirements for their benefits. There's no errors. But there would still be a way to actually detect it. So like one letter off somewhere, so still
Pretty nice. It's pretty good at school.
right, exactly. So high.
So this will probably weigh my ignorance and my vulnerability, but if I were to get a hard difficulty email like this, I feel like just clicking on the link isn't the thing that will compromise me. It'll be if it takes me to a page and I enter my password on that page. That is actually the step in which I attack. If I click on the link and it downloads a file and then I open that file, like clicking the link is only one step.
Yeah,
So if a person clicks on this link, they haven't necessarily been phished yet. It's if they click on the link and go to your web page and then enter the password, then they've been phished. So I'm wondering if you have any plans to enter in kind of a multi-step to see how far they go. Because me personally, I might click on this link, but if it opens up the web page and the URL is wrong, the form is not correct, then I won't enter in the password. Yeah. So at that point, am I risk level 100, I'm a moron, I clicked on the link, or was I at least smart enough not to follow through? Because it's usually 1 or 2 steps after the link that you actually get access.
Yeah, so that's great feedback. That was outside the scope of what we wanted to do for this capstone, but that's certainly what we wanted to do. So you have to be able to just go into a link because you either want to call the applet to compromise you.
Yeah, and then you click OK and give permission and stuff. But there's usually at least one extra thing you click on that then compromises the security after.
But would you say that not clicking on the link precludes you from doing that, and so clicking on the link would be an indicator of risky behavior?
And I think
Absolutely.
And I think that's the point, because I think more than, yes, this does provide data for training purposes, but I think the more important thing, and the more important value that you get out of this, is that your organization begins to think. They begin to think, hey, I don't know if I should click this. Let me hover over and see where this URL actually goes. Did I request this link? Does this make sense for me to be in this email right now? If not, I'm going to go to the URL or Facebook. So I think the bigger value is training for the employees in that way. So yeah, no, that is good feedback.
Well, and especially if they're using a browser that's not patched, then clicking on a link can compromise all sorts of things.
No ways, yeah.
Well, it's kind of nice to separate the two things. Travis is right that it's not the same thing as being compromised, but you divide up these two tasks, these two parts of the attack. You eliminate risk like 70-40 someone else, and you accidentally attack someone who's outside the scope of the organization. Or export it to the CEO. You didn't use that.
Right.
So I think it's actually a really good stuff. You need to do your separate testing. I think it's really
So one of the major challenges of systems like this is when they send the email, it actually does go to junk mail. The user never sees it. Is there anything you can do to help prevent that? Anything built in that?
Well, I think one thing is if they're configured through their corporate email servers, those are legitimate from email addresses potentially.
Right.
And trusted webmail servers.
So yeah, that's kind of the point. The focus isn't on making sure that our emails actually get through to the way we do something like that. We'll go through their own emails, we're just not going to flag the spam. It's more the principle of what happens when it does get through. Phishing emails.
And since it's locally hosted,
Most things.
yeah, and since it's locally hosted, you can actually, if it's like you said, if it's through a corporate email service, we can say, hey, all the emails from this particular service.
Interestingly enough, a lot of this didn't get on spam. So those groups are always like
Sorry, lots of comments. One more. So I started working with phishing about 6 years ago, and with a research project at last university I was on. And they told me an interesting story that I think might be helpful. They actually started out with a black interface, sort of the security-looking interface, and and one day it changed. I went completely from black all over to white, so we were collaborating with them. So we asked them, And they said, yeah, the HR people hated the black because they felt like they were doing something dirty. So for what it's worth, if you ever did go to a point where you were to sell this, I mean, they want to get some opinions on that. And,
Because it's gone, it's right.
yeah, absolutely. So there is something.
Any last comments, questions? All right, awesome. Great job, gentlemen. Okay, it looks like